In one of my short videos, I described a sewing machine as antique when it was probably only 70 years old. And one of my commenters gave me a little lecture about that. I'm Michelle, this is my romantic tangle, and I've got apparently some strong feelings over what we describe as antique and vintage. And what it really comes down to is that I don't care. Most of the things that I go and drool over in antique stores don't meet the 65-year rule, let alone the 100-year rule. Years ago, my husband and I were on Antique Row in some town or other in Arizona, and there was one store that had prominent signs explaining that they did not sell anything that was not a true antique, as defined by the 100 years. It was the most boring antique store we have ever visited. There was nothing interesting or fun or that captured our imaginations. I love antiques, don't get me wrong, but I also love vintage, and defining what qualifies as what just seems fairly unnecessary to me. Who makes these rules anyway? Because the same grandma who told me the 65-year rule later owned an antique mall, so I think she knew what she was doing. I would describe this as an antique. Somebody may correct me. Whether it is antique or whether it is on that fuzzy borderline between vintage and antique, I love this thing. I want one. I decided at the end of the day, I didn't necessarily want this one. I want one that works. And if my husband had been with me, I might have been able to talk him into bringing that home and adding it to our household, because that's one of the things where our taste runs along the same lines. Look at this old typewriter. Again, I would call it an antique. I have no idea what year it came out, just that I'm pretty sure it's old, and I'm not going to research it. Old typewriters are expensive. That one surprised me. It wasn't as expensive as I would have expected. I have a tendency to keep bringing home old typewriters, so this one was in no danger of coming home and living at my house. Take a look at the bicentennial clock. Mom and I stumbled on it back in October. It was the only thing in that thrift store worth taking a video of, and I haven't found the proper video to squeeze it into until now. I like this thing. It is quirky, and I've never seen one before. I will most likely never see one again. It's just fun. We keep seeing this painting, and sooner or later we are going to get a print of this painting. Not this one on this day, but I like this one. I can't remember what the name of it is. There is just something about those little girls clustered around the book that I can't resist. What do you think? Do you worry about what is an antique or not an antique? Do you even like antiques to begin with? Let me know in the comments. I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle. And unless you're lying about things in an Etsy description, I really don't know that it matters how old any of our treasures are.